So in this section we're going to talk about the new HTML5 canvas element, and you can see I'm on the w3schools.com website, and I would definitely suggest this website for anybody learning HTML or pretty much any kind of web scripting language or whatever. It's very informative and it's very simple and put together. So in the canvas element, it's used to draw lines, shapes, graphics, and what we're going to do is going to be relatively simple because this can get very, very complicated. You can have really really large, complicated scripts because that's the thing, is that HTML, it's only used to draw the canvas. You have to use JavaScript to put anything in the canvas or to change it or to pretty much do anything. So I know this isn't a JavaScript video, but to learn anything about the canvas tag, the canvas element, you'll need to do some JavaScript. And I'm going to do it along with you and try to explain it as well as I can. So if you go into your section, chapter 3, section 3, canvas lines and shapes, you'll see the program files, and these are the only two files that we're going to be working with, is this index.html and this JavaScript file called play.js. And I meant to change the name of it, but I guess I'll keep it. It really doesn't matter. So what we're going to do is I'm first going to show you what it is that we're doing. Now I know this might not look like something useful, but for the Blue Web Developer Directory, I could not figure out a project or anything that we could implement on that site with the canvas tag that wasn't too complicated for this tutorial. So we're going to take a break from the Blue Developer Directory and just learn some basics with HTML5 canvas and JavaScript. Whoop, sorry about that. So you'll see we have a bunch of boxes here, and the canvas, we can do text. It actually shows you a lot of this type of code that we're going to be doing on the W3 School site, but we can draw lines, shapes like circles, text, and that's what we're going to be doing. We have 5 separate canvas elements here. With the first one is going to have text. We're going to do some text, and the second one has rectangles with some strokes. The stroke is the border, and then we have some lines that we can do when we can connect and then fill, and we have some circles, and then we have some animation. I'll have to reload this to show you, but we have some cool animation here. It's just very simple and abstract, but you could see what you could do with this. You could build some really cool animation elements, sliders, or whatever. So let's look at the HTML file first, which is very simple. This is all we have for HTML. We have the doc type, the page body. We have some styling in the head tag, some CSS, and then we have the canvas elements. So we have an opening canvas tag, and then we have an ID attribute for each one. We have 5 separate ones, and then we gave each one, they're all the 400 width, 300 height, and that's it. And if you want to write, some browsers don't deal with the canvas element, and those are older browsers, like IE7, older versions of Firefox. They won't read the canvas element. So all you would have to do is type something in here like, I don't know, get a better browser, and they won't see. Actually, why don't I show you that? I'm going to save this, and I'm going to open the IE tester that I have, and this allows us to look at older versions of IE. So if I open up IE7, of course, IE6, I don't know what's going on here. Oh, here we go. Alright, so this is IE7, I think. So I'm going to load this same page in here in IE7, and you'll see it just says get a better browser. So you know, you can write what you want in the middle for people that have older browsers. Most people have modern browsers, except for maybe, like, you know, if your grandmother has a computer or something like that. But usually don't have to worry about that anymore, at least. So we get these these 5 canvas elements, and then you'll see we have a link to our Play JavaScript page. This just links the JavaScript to this HTML page, and then we have this function body on load make canvas. So what that means is when this page loads, when this body loads, it's going to load the make canvas function, which is defined in the JavaScript file. So now let's look at the JavaScript file. Now this is the JavaScript file, and if you don't know any JavaScript, you're probably looking at this and just saying, holy crap, you know, because it is overwhelming to look at, but it's actually, once you understand it, it's really easy, and hopefully after I go through this, you'll understand it. So I'm actually going to make a new directory. I'm going to start fresh. So I'll just say canvas, and I'm going to copy, actually, one second. I'm not going to rewrite the HTML file, so I'm just going to put that in there because I just pretty much explained everything on the page, so we don't really have to go through that. But I am going to create a new JavaScript document and save it. I'm going to save it in that folder I just created, that canvas folder. If I can find it, there it is. And I'm going to save it as JavaScript. So if you're using Notepad++, you'll have to choose JavaScript right here, .js, and I'll name it. Actually, I'll name it Canvas because that's what you'll see. I'm not going to keep that as play. I don't know why I did that. So we'll just save it as Java. It's canvas.js. So since we saved it as canvas.js, we have to go back. Let me just make sure I'm in the right index file. So we just got to change this to canvas. So we have our HTML document complete, linking to canvas.js, and now we're in a blank canvas.js. Now I want to test it. First of all, I don't want to close this. I want to keep it open for reference. So I am going to open our new one, which has the white canvases. And the reason it has this is because of the CSS. We have a background of white and a border of black, and then the height and width comes from right here. So that's what we have. Now I want to test. I want to make sure that this JavaScript file is linked correctly. So what I want to do is I just want to say alert I'm connected. So we'll save this, and if in the alert function it just gives us a pop-up alert, so we'll reload and I'm connected. So our JavaScript is in fact connected. Alright, now I'm trying to figure out where I should start for this. Well, first of all, we know we have to have the function make canvas. So let's define that. And if you've done any other programming, JavaScript, PHP, you probably know how to define a function. If not, then just try to follow along. So we just write function, and then we write make canvas. And functions always have a parentheses when you're declaring them, and then open curly brace and close curly brace. Now, whatever we want the make canvas function to do, it's going to do here. And I'm going to do alert 1 again, or just alert 1, just to see if it's connected. I'm going to save it, reload, and it's working. Whatever you put in here is what will be in the alert. Okay, now there's many different ways to do this. It depends on your style of programming. There's 3 phases I like to do when building a shape or anything else with the canvas JavaScript. So the first thing we want to do, I'm just going to put some comments here just to explain these JavaScript comments. You can use the double /. So the first thing we want to do is get the object, and the object here is the canvas tag, the canvas element, whatever you want to call it. And the next thing we want to do is we want to set some parameters or properties for that object, for the canvas object. And then the third and last thing we want to do is I'd say action, make shape or line, whatever it is that you're doing. So keep that in mind, and it might look confusing or sound strange right now, but I'm going to try to explain it. So the first canvas we have, if we look at the finished product, the first thing we're going to do is text. And we just have this text, I love HTML5. It's a light blue color, and it has a black stroke, which is a border of it looks about 1 pixel. So what we want to do is first we want to get the object. So we'll go to the index HTML, and you'll see we can grab this by the ID, because the IDs are all different. So we want the canvas1 ID. So the JavaScript function we use to get that, well, first of all, we're going to put it in a variable, and we're going to put it in the variable of canvas1. So canvas1 we're going to assign that canvas1 to this variable canvas1, and we want to do that by document dot get element by ID. And JavaScript, we usually use camel case, which is we start with a lowercase letter, and then the next word will start with, each consecutive next word will start with a capital, an uppercase. And the ID we want to get, as we just saw, is canvas1. And then we end it with a semicolon. If you know any kind of programming, then you'll know that. So what we did is we put that element into this variable. Now the next thing we want to do, we want to create another variable, and this is going to be the context of the canvas object. It's a little hard to explain, so just try to bear with me. And we're going to call that variable ctx1 for context1, and that's going to be canvas1, which is this variable. It's going to be we're going to get the context of that variable. So we want to do a dot and then get context. And we want to put a parameter. Whenever you have a function and it has parentheses, anything in the parentheses is a parameter. And unless it's a number, you put quotes around it. So this needs to be 2D. It just has to be there. That you can't do it without the 2D there. So our first thing that we've done is done. We got the object. So I'm actually going to label these. I mean, this is just how I do it. It works for me, so just hope it works for you too. So the next thing we want to do is set the properties. And remember, what we're doing is this right here. We're going to make this text, I love HTML5. So here we want to take the context variable, which is context1, okay, and we want to set the font, and we want to set that to actually I like to use single quotes. We want to set that to 32 point, and we'll set it to Arial. So that gives us a font for this context of 32 point Arial. And the next thing we want to define for our property is ctx1 dot fill style. And what the fill style is the blue color in here. And this should be camel case again. Start with the lowercase f and then style with the uppercase s. And that is actually a color that we can use in JavaScript, and we'll call it's deep sky blue, which is an actual color. I'm not exactly sure why I used this and not just a simple blue, but whatever, it doesn't matter. And the next thing, the last thing we want to define is the stroke or the border, which is that black you see around the lettering. So ctx1, and we're going to do stroke style, and that's going to be another strange color. No, actually no, we're just going to do black here. Alright, so we set the properties. If we save it and look at it, there's still nothing there because we haven't done the action, we haven't made it yet. So now we'll move on to 3, which is the action. Alright, so what we want to do here is do ctx1. Remember, we're using the context variable with all of these, not the element variable. So we want to do fill text, and in the fill text function we want to put whatever we want in text. So we're going to do I love HTML5. Okay, that's the first parameter. So we need a second parameter. So 45 is from here to here. Now the next parameter is the Y parameter, and we're going to do from here to here, which is going to be 150. So that's the fill text function. The next thing we want to do, actually we can save this now and go look at it in our new site. And nothing. One second. Let's see what's going on here. That looks good. Oh, see right here, I have an uppercase Y that has to be lowercase. Let's try it again. Save, reload, and there's the text, the blue text. And if you look at this, we don't have, you see, we don't have the black border like this one yet. So what we want to do is just going to take one line of code. We're going to do ctx1 dot stroke text, and we want to write the same thing. If we don't write the same exact thing, it'll look all screwed up, and I'll show you that in a second. So that's that, and then we want to do the same thing. We want the 45 X value and the 150 Y value. Save it, reload, and now we have the stroke around the fill text. So you'll see if I write, let's say if we wrote I love you HTML5 and we save, and this is just the stroke, we're doing this. If we reload, you'll see just the stroke has spelt out I love you HTML. So you gotta make sure it's the same, unless you're trying to do something else. But if you want to add a stroke to the fill text, it has to be the exact same. So that pretty much does it for this canvas, the text canvas. Now I'd like to move on to the next one. And this one is going to be